Once I was talking to a friend who told me that one of her ways to look after herself was to go and buy something. And I'm not really sure if that's a practice of self love or of self care. I don't believe that there's anything wrong with buying something you like. Of course, you can do that, but is it really self love? Self love is actually trying to sit with your difficult feelings. Self love is about forgiving yourself. Self love is about accepting your humanness. Self love is about transforming your shadow. Self love is about accepting that you have made mistakes in the past and forgiving yourself. Self love is about sitting with painful feelings every once in a while so you can transform the energy of those feelings. And self love is about having the courage to speak what you have to speak your truth. Self love is about having the courage to take a step that is for yourself and is not taken with the intention of pleasing anyone else. Self love is actually about not being a people pleaser. It's about going against the flow when the flow means you have to conform to a standard or to an ideal that is not yours to begin with. Self love is about enforcing your boundaries in relationships and in friendships when it's necessary. Self love is about knowing your boundaries and understanding them and then following through. Self love is about going on your own journey of healing to become familiar with the parts of yourself that you at one point hid away. Self love is about healing your inner child. Self love is about traveling through meditation within yourself and finding those parts of yourself that you hid away long ago, but now you are an adult and you're able to bring these parts out and observe them without any judgment. So you let go of all the energy and of all the darkness that may be in these little parts all over inside yourself. And self love is about being honest to yourself about yourself, because you can only be honest in your relationships when you're honest to yourself. If you're not being honest with yourself, you cannot be honest with others. So the practices of self-love are deep and require our attention, require mindful awareness. They require us to use the methods and approaches like meditation and doing yoga, to name a few, so our bodies and our minds and our spirit becomes familiar, it becomes whole, it becomes complete, and we bring all the aspects of ourselves together. That is self-love. And all of you who do practice, you know that it's not always easy. It's not always easy to sit on the meditation mat or to stand on the yoga mat. It's not always easy when you feel tired and you haven't slept properly and your body's aching and all these 100 chores are there for you to do. It's not always easy to prioritize your own emotional and spiritual health. But that is self-love. And this concept just sort of gets involved with this uber consumerism in our society. So buy things as you may like or want. However, that is not authentic self-love. And there's also nothing to be afraid of, because self-love and getting to know yourself and accepting parts of yourself, it's a journey and it takes time. You don't and you shouldn't attempt to do it all at once. You shouldn't attempt for all these feelings to come up all at the same time and then try to deal with them. It's systematic and it's disciplined practices, consistent practices, and doing them persistently with the intention to heal yourself and become familiar with yourself and to complete yourself. It's the consistency and the discipline with which you do this, which results in a wholeness and a completeness. And it's not about how long you do them, but it's about how often you do them. And it's about having that consistent practice and not being afraid of all the stuff that will come up, But this is why you prepare yourself with these modalities like meditation and mindfulness and other practices. I usually mention these two because these are the ones I work with. But you have to prepare yourself, and you have to give yourself the space and prepare it for yourself before and while you do your healing work, because a lot of things come up for that. You will need that space. And self-love, ultimately, in my opinion, now it's a spiritual practice. It's a deeply spiritual practice, getting to know our true nature, who we are, a being of light. That is a spiritual practice. Getting to know and understand that when you love yourself, you love the other, because we are all part of a whole, of the same entirety. So it is a spiritual practice, in my opinion. And for that, we must be ready, because when you begin with this practice and you begin your journey of self-love, you have a different motivation. And that motivation is to heal yourself and become familiar with the lost parts of yourself and accept the parts of yourself that you've rejected. But as you go forth on self-love, on your journey of self-love, and you walk forward and forward, your intentions evolve. And at one point, they meet with the rest of your spiritual journey. And that's when really amazing things begin to manifest. It is not without its challenges. And that is why we prepare ourselves and we are diligent with our practices, because we know that these are the practices that are going to help us further down the path. So we hone our skills and we go on with courage, with honesty, being brave, being authentic. And eventually all the work that we have put into our journey begins to unfold and new things emerge that we never believed were going to be a part of our journey. And that's what's really beautiful.